The voice that changed everything. The afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of the Reyes family's small apartment in Manila, casting golden stripes across the worn wooden floor. Sebastian Reyes sat on the edge of his bed, holding his father's old guitar like it was made of glass. His fingers traced the scratches on its surface, each one a memory of the man who had played it before him. "Sebastian, dinner is ready," his mother called from the kitchen, her voice soft and tired from another long day at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. "Coming, Mama," he replied, but he didn't move. Instead, he closed his eyes and strummed a single chord. The sound filled his small room, rich and full, like it always did. Music was the only thing that made sense to him anymore. Sebastian was 23 years old, and he had been singing for as long as he could remember. His father had taught him, back when Sebastian was just a boy with a voice that hadn't changed yet. They would sit together in this very room, his father showing him how to hold the guitar, how to feel the music instead of just playing it. That was before the accident. Before everything changed. Now, Sebastian worked at a small restaurant downtown, washing dishes and cleaning tables. It wasn't the life he had dreamed of, but it helped his mother pay the bills. His younger sister, Maria, was in college, studying to become a teacher. The family needed money more than they needed Sebastian's dreams. "Sebastian, the food is getting cold," his mother said again, this time appearing in his doorway. She looked at him with those eyes that saw everything, the sadness he tried to hide, the longing he carried in his chest. He set the guitar down carefully and followed her to the kitchen. Maria was already there, her textbook spread across the small table next to her plate. "You were singing again," Maria said, looking up at him with a smile. "I could hear you from my room." Sebastian shrugged, sitting down in his usual chair. "Just practicing. You should audition for something," Maria continued, pushing her rice around her plate. "You're so good, Kuya. Everyone says so." His mother placed a hand on his shoulder as she walked past. "Your sister is right. Your father would have wanted you to share your gift." Sebastian felt the familiar tightness in his chest. His father had always believed in him, had always said that Sebastian had something special. But believing in yourself was harder when the person who believed in you was gone. "Maybe someday," he said quietly, and they ate the rest of their meal in comfortable silence. The weeks passed the way they always did. Sebastian woke up early, went to the restaurant, came home tired, and sang in his room when everyone else was asleep. It was a rhythm he had fallen into, safe and predictable. He told himself he was content. But Maria had other plans. One evening, Sebastian came home to find his sister waiting for him with her laptop open and an expression on her face that he recognized immediately. It was the same look she used to have when they were children and she was about to drag him into one of her adventures. "What did you do?" he asked, setting down his bag. "I submitted your audition video," Maria said quickly, the words tumbling out like she had been holding them in all day. "For America's Got Talent. They have auditions in Los Angeles next month, and they want you to come." Sebastian stared at her, his mind struggling to process what she had just said. "You did what? Don't be angry," she pleaded, standing up. "I recorded you last week when you were singing in your room. That Elvis song you always practice. I sent it to them, and they responded, Sebastian. They want you to audition in person." His mother appeared from her bedroom, and Sebastian realized she had known about this. They had planned it together. "I can't afford to go to Los Angeles," Sebastian said, his voice flat. "We can't afford it. I have savings," his mother said softly. "From extra shifts. And Maria has been tutoring to help. We want to do this for you, Anik. We want you to have this chance." Sebastian looked between them, these two women who worked so hard, who sacrificed so much. His throat felt tight, and he couldn't speak. "Papa would want this," Maria whispered. "You know he would." That night, Sebastian barely slept. He thought about his father, about all the dreams they had shared. He thought about the restaurant where he worked, about the life he had built that felt like a cage. And he thought about what it might feel like to stand on a stage and really sing, to let people hear what he carried inside him. By morning, he had made his decision. The flight to Los Angeles was the first time Sebastian had ever left the Philippines. He pressed his face to the window during takeoff, watching Manila grow smaller beneath him until it disappeared into clouds. His mother had insisted on coming with him, even though it meant using more of their precious savings. She sat beside him now, holding his hand like he was still a little boy. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. She smiled. "Good. That means it matters." The audition was held in a massive theater, bigger than anything Sebastian had ever seen. There were hundreds of people there, all of them hoping for the same thing, a chance to be seen, to be heard, to matter. Sebastian felt small among them, just another person with a dream. When they called his name, his legs almost didn't work. He walked onto the stage, his father's guitar in his hands, and looked out at the empty seats. The judges sat at a long table, he recognized them from television. Simon Cowell sat in the middle, his expression unreadable. "Tell us about yourself," one of the judges said, her voice echoing in the huge space. Sebastian stepped up to the microphone. His accent felt thick in his mouth, and he hoped they could understand him. "My name is Sebastian Reyes," he said. "I'm from Manila, in the Philippines. I work at a restaurant back home. And I'm here because my father taught me to love music before he passed away. I want to honor him." Simon leaned forward slightly. "What are you going to sing for us?" "Can't Help Falling in Love, by Elvis Presley," Sebastian replied. It was my father's favorite. He didn't wait for their response. He closed his eyes, positioned his fingers on the guitar strings, and began to play. The first notes floated through the theater, clear and gentle. And then Sebastian opened his mouth and sang. The voice that came out was like nothing anyone expected. It was deep and rich and achingly beautiful, with a quality that seemed to reach into the past and pull Elvis Presley himself into the present. It wasn't an imitation, it was something deeper, something real. Sebastian poured everything into that song, his grief, his love, his hope, his fear. Every word was a prayer. When he finished, the silence that followed felt like the world holding its breath. Then Simon Cowell stood up. The other judges looked shocked. The audience, which had filtered in during his performance, erupted into applause. But Sebastian only watched Simon, whose expression had transformed into something like wonder. "In 20 years of judging these shows," Simon said slowly, "I have never heard anything quite like that. You didn't just sing that song. You lived it. And for a moment, I forgot where I was. I forgot everything except your voice." Sebastian felt tears on his cheeks. But he didn't wipe them away. The other judges gave their feedback, each one more enthusiastic than the last. They talked about his tone, his emotion, his presence. But Sebastian barely heard them. All he could think about was his father, and how proud he would have been in this moment. "It's a yes from me," each judge said in turn. Simon was last. "It's not just a yes," he said. "It's the easiest yes I've given in years. You have something truly special, Sebastian. Don't waste it." 3 months later, Sebastian stood backstage at the America's Got Talent finals. He had made it further than he ever dreamed possible, performing week after week, each song another piece of his heart shared with millions of people watching around the world. His mother and Maria were in the audience. Back home in Manila, he knew his friends from the restaurant were gathered around a television, watching and cheering. The whole country seemed to be rooting for him. He didn't win that night. "Second place," the announcer said, and the crowd roared its approval. But as Sebastian stood on that stage, holding his father's guitar and surrounded by golden confetti falling like rain, he realized something important. He had already won. Not a competition, but something far more valuable. He had found his voice again. He had honored his father's memory. And he had shown himself and his family that dreams weren't foolish, they were necessary. When he returned to Manila, there were people waiting at the airport. Strangers who knew his name, who had been moved by his story. But more importantly, there were opportunities, real ones. Recording studios wanted to work with him. Venues wanted him to perform. His life was changing, unfolding into something he had never dared to imagine. That night, in his small room with the golden light coming through the windows, Sebastian picked up his father's guitar one more time. He played softly, just for himself, and somewhere in the music, he felt his father's presence. Not as a ghost or a memory, but as a part of who Sebastian had become, a man who had found the courage to sing, who had let the world hear his voice. And in that moment, surrounded by the people he loved, in the place where he had always belonged, Sebastian Reyes was completely, perfectly home.